Hello and welcome back to another video of Between the Ropes TV. Now today I'm joined by Ray and we're going to be talking about the Gervonta Davis versus Hector Luis Garcia fight on Saturday this week, live on Showtime US. Ray, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
Good, good. So yeah, like I said, Gervonta Davis, he returns back in action on Saturday. This is obviously going to be his first fight of this year, and obviously he's going to be live in Washington DC. And he comes up against an undefeated fighter in Hector Luis Garcia. In what could people potentially say it could be a banana skin before the big one, because obviously we know he's been touted to fight Ryan Garcia. How do you see this one playing out?
I think it's going to be an interesting fight because really the two super featherweights, aren't they? Getting it on, and Garcia put up a good performance against Chris Colbert. I think Chris Colbert's probably slightly overrated, but still he was the underdog in that fight against Chris Colbert. And I think he'll ask some questions to Tank. Tank's already, I've seen in his fights from when I've watched him, he can be outboxed. He can start slow, but when he gets an opportunity to explode on you, he can do. I think what's key for this fight is Tank's concentration. If Tank isn't distracted by what's gone on, which, let's be honest, would distract most people, if he focuses in that ring and doesn't let anything deter him, then he's got a chance of coming through this fight unscathed and getting the win by knockout. I think this guy's compact. Hector Garcia is compact. He's tight. He's strong, and he's aggressive. But that could play into Tank's hands. Tank's a tremendous counter puncher. Tank can, like I said, Tank can be outboxed, but he thinks really well on the back foot. He looks for openings. He can work the body well. He shoots off a sharp jab. And I think he'd be looking at timing, and I think he'd be looking to time Garcia. So I think Tank's biggest problem here is whether or not it's a mental side, whether or not he's going to conquer that. Because if he hasn't, that's where he's going to become unstuck. It won't be through lack of ability. It'll be through psychologically not coping with the events of the past weeks.
Yeah. Now, obviously, that brings me on perfectly to the next question. To many fans around the world, this is obviously seen as like a routine kind of fight for Tank before the big one. Against Ryan Garcia later on this year. Do you feel as though there's any chance that he could be overlooking his opponent?
Well, I'd like to think not, because Tank knows just how in terms of revenue, just how much that fight with Ryan Garcia is going to bring. That's a big money fight, and they've been talking a lot of rubbish about each other. Tank definitely doesn't want to let Ryan Garcia get the upper hand, and I'm sure Tank wants to prove that he's the best in that weight class, despite Devin Haney having all the marbles in that weight class. Tank needs to make a statement, and make a statement quick, because of all the aspects of leaving Mayweather, Leonard Ellaby. We need to see what Tank's about now. We know from the knockout wins and the performances, just how good he could be. But we need to start seeing that now against a stellar opponent in the right weight class for him. Apart from Leo Santa Cruz, the Rolly Romero one wasn't one, because I didn't think Rolly Romero was anywhere near Tank's ability. I think Rolly Romero is another good puncher, but that's it. Who's fought against a caliber of opponent who you would expect him to beat. This is going to be different against Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is equally as explosive puncher. So if he wants those future matchups and he wants those future paydays, he can't look past this kid, Hector Garcia, because Hector Garcia is a dangerous opponent. Hector Garcia is unbeaten. He's beaten good opponents. Like I said, he had already beaten Chris Colbert. Yeah, he's slightly overrated, but he had a good name. He was also unbeaten. And he's beaten Roger Gutierrez as well, who had two good wins against Rene Alvarado. So when you look at it, really, this isn't this isn't a journeyman he's up against. This is up against an unbeaten opponent who would give most people trouble at the super featherweight division.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Now, obviously, for the viewers who are not aware of what's been going on recently, there were obviously some domestic issues going on with Gervonta Davis, obviously leading to speculation whether this fight would take place or not. But as of how it stands now, the fight will be going ahead. Now, moving on to the co-main event on the card, we've got an interesting clash between in the welterweight division. We've got Jaron Boots Ennis versus, forgive me for pronouncing the name wrong, Karen
Chukhadzian.
Yeah, that's it. And now, obviously, both of them boast impressive records. Chukhadzian's coming off a 20. He's got one loss early on in his career, but he's coming on a 20-fight win streak. And obviously, Jaron Ennis is unbeaten, 29 wins, 27 KOs. It makes for a very interesting fight. Ray, how do you see that fight playing out?
I think Jaron Ennis is, for me, he's really, really talented. I think he's the best welterweight in the world right now. He's been a pro since 2016. People still call him a prospect. He's not a prospect. He's a contender. No one serious wants to fight this guy. I know Danny Garcia, who's from the same state as him in Philadelphia, won't even spar this guy. I can't see Karen Chukhadzian posing any problems for Jaron Ennis. Don't get me wrong, Karen's coming off, I think, 4 stoppages in Europe. This is the first time he's fought in America. He's mainly fought he's born in Germany, but originally from Ukraine. He's mainly had all these fights in the Ukraine. Obviously, he's not going to be fighting in the Ukraine for some time for obvious reasons. He had his last 2 wins out in Germany. I just think Boots Ennis is special. I just think he has every punch in the book. He can knock you out with any shot that he wants to throw. He controls the range so well. He's defensively so good, so tight, compact. Rarely gets hit, and when he does, he's never phased. He's brilliant in the pocket, so sharp. He rarely wastes a shot. As you can see, I'm a little bit of a fan of his. But yeah, he's a special talent, and I expect a stoppage within 4 rounds.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people would agree with you. He is a very heavy favorite going into this fight. But no doubt, Chukhadzian's going to have his own ideas where he's going to want to come and, cause a shock, cause an upset. You mentioned there, this is going to be his US debut. He's only ever fought in Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, I think. So this obviously is exciting. Is against a guy who's ranked in the top 5 in all the organizations. So no doubt is he going to want to come and cause an upset. Now, obviously, if Jaron Ennis is going to come through this fight unscathed and looking good as well, what do you think comes next for him?
I would like to see him. I would like to see a world title shot for him next. I think he's sitting on 29 fights. When he wins this one, he'll be on 30. He's 25 years old, been a pro for 7 years. He needs a world title fight next. Politically, it's always going to be difficult. 3 of the belts are with Spence, one's with Crawford. Really, those 2 should get it on. He's got to be next in line. Mandatory for the WB or for the WBA, and he needs a shot. He really does. I think it's a case of Spence fighting Thurman next, potentially, and then you're looking at if that Crawford fight goes ahead. But let's just say the Spence Crawford fight is going to go ahead. He should get the winner, unless there's a rematch clause and all that stuff. He really should get the winner. Otherwise, those 2 should vacate, and then he should get his shot. But it's all down to politics. That's why Jaron Ennis isn't getting his world title shot. But he should do that. That should be next for him.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people would agree that he is due for a world title shot because he is more than good enough to challenge for one. But anyways, guys, you've heard it from Ray there. There's the breakdown for the 2 fights on the card. We've also got a live coming up on Monday at 9 p.m. So please join us there. Let us know in the comments if you agree with Ray's breakdowns or not, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.